We are good to go. Shared mobility space has evolved quite a lot from being a crazy and untested experiment in 2010 to a $400 billion industry. And it's not stopping here. It is expected to grow to almost $1 trillion industry in the next 10 to 12 years. EthAum and its portfolio startup SmartIR are truly thrilled about the innovations that are enabling the growth in the shared mobility space. And that's why we are hosting a thought leadership panel on impacts of AI on shared mobility with amazing subject matter experts from different parts of the world. This is Pankaj Gupta from EthAum Venture Partners. We are a deep tech revenue scaler and fund based in Singapore with approximately 100 startups in the portfolio. We have a moderator and CEO of SmartIR, Gönenç, on the call, and I would request Gönenç to do a quick introduction of himself. Gönenç, please.
Thank you very much, Pankaj. My name is Gönenç BAŞOL. I am co-founder and CEO of SmartIR. On SmartIR, we develop AI solutions to analyze driver physiology and behavior to assess driving and health concerns. And I think it is a good moment to dive into the discussion for now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Gönenç. Really appreciate the quick introduction. I would request our esteemed panelists to introduce themselves. I see Russ on the screen, so Russell, please go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Great to be here. My name is Russell Jones. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Private Fleet Net Zero. We're helping to match the 45% of trucks that are in private fleets that are empty perhaps 80% of the time on their backhauls to typically 3PL buyers. It's a unique platform doing this.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Russell. Appreciate that. You are dialing in from New York, right?
Yes, I'm visiting in New York. I'm based in the Bay Area.
Awesome. Fantastic, Russell. Appreciate your time today. Yann, could you please go next?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me. I'm actually calling from Singapore. Been here for 2 weeks and for another month for a client roadshow. So anyway, I'm Yann, CEO and co-founder of EthAum. EthAum is the first ever delay insurance platform. So we are an insurtech platform for cargo delay coverages, and we essentially tackling a $50 billion protection gap in the maritime logistics and supply chain space.
Thanks a lot, Yann. Appreciate your time, and I know you are doing this during your meetings, trips in Hong Kong and Singapore. So really appreciate your time today. Fawad, could you please go next?
Thank you. My name is Fawad Ahmed. I'm with milenow.com. We are a logistics platform. We cover first, middle, and last mile, along with EV and sustainability as part of our platform. I'm dialing in from Dubai at the moment. I spend a lot of time between Riyadh and Dubai currently.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Fawad. Appreciate your time. Utpal, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Utpal Deka. I'm also based out of Dubai as of now. And I have a startup, which is around 6-7 months old. So we are more into the passenger mobility segment. And we have the technology platform for managing the on-demand bus services, basically.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Utpal. Appreciate your time today. Now, I know that Gönenç has prepared some really interesting questions, intriguing questions for the panel. So I would request Gönenç to take out those questions and start getting the feedback. Gönenç, please, stage is yours.
Thank you, Pankaj, once again. Maybe I can just make a brief start for this discussion. It's a pleasure for me to welcome you all, also the esteemed panelists. Today's panel is on impact of AI on shared mobility, as Pankaj mentioned. And we will be mostly discussing the impact of AI in this domain and how it will be shaping the future of mobility, basically the shared mobility we will be mostly talking about. But of course, we will be looking deeper detail and also the conjunctions of this domain with the other players like logistics and transportation. So I wonder, Yann, how do you feel if you either say AI, how do you see AI playing a role in enhancing driver safety and operational efficiency, particularly with real-time data and advanced risk assessments like health concerns of driver or drowsiness detection?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we obviously, as we specialize in cargo and transit, so what we essentially thrive for is a lot of the B2B business, right? So mobility, in this case, is more containers, cargo, and other assets, being moved from A to B. But the essence of the question is still pretty relevant to us. So the way we view AI, machine learning, helping the industry, and how we actually leverage those emerging techs in order to bring a different value and product thesis to the customer. So this number one is a lot of forecasting, right, and prediction. It's a very impressive depth of data that we essentially acquired, and we essentially getting a lot of from our vendors, partners, our visibility platform partners, through satellites, GPS, and other type of kind of like cargo tracking around the world. And with that, we created a lot of risk pricing, underwriting, and prediction that helps the customers in terms of getting assessment for the risk that they have to manage on their own. So that's number one. Number two is with the advent of a lot of those LLM products, right? So solutions such as OpenAI, which leverage a large language model. What you have is you can actually create a lot of automation in literally like 1,000x, 10,000x in terms of efficiency, accuracy, and precision when it comes to scheduling and essentially compiling and aggregating the data in parabolically faster than what human beings would be doing. And in our space, which is freight and logistics scheduling, what is there's a tremendous amount of manual errors, right? Still to this day, which is not necessarily like pointing fingers at freight forwarders or logistics, because they have to deal with so much of inefficiencies in the market and also like urgency in terms of operations. But then dealing with the paper and pen, again, getting to digitize their operation on a day-to-day basis has been a struggle since the 90s, right? Now with the acceleration of adoption of what we call AI agents, you in essentially like at the cusp of automating and breaching and leapfrogging into something that's completely unprecedented, right, in the space. So we now like looking at essentially streamlining and minimizing errors to like a very, very small error margins, in terms of scheduling claims, scheduling freights, scheduling transportation by ocean, by air, by over the road, over the land. And that's essentially creating a lot of efficiency, but also trust, right, for the customers, which is at the end of the day what matters the most.
Thank you very much, Yann. Really good insights in what you do and what you see with the assessments of risk. Russell, do you have something to add for this risk assessment and the junction with the your operational efficiency, basically?
Thanks a lot. So what I see from the world of trucking, it's very monotonous, and it's the same minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, week after week. And so AI has a chance of being a very steady monitor to help find things and see trends and very quickly figure out that driver 47 has got an issue and we need to address it now before it becomes a claim for Yann's world to jump into. So there's no doubt it's very powerful, and most fleets are not well managed. You think about the typical for-hire carrier, well over half of them are still using an Excel or, God forbid, a whiteboard to run their business. These people could totally take advantage of AI to really up their game in terms of preventing an accident, which hurts everybody.
Great. So what I would say, Fawad, I think you collect plenty of data throughout your operation, and with the increasing use of data analytics in mobility, how can AI help companies gain predictive insights and make real-time decisions to optimize fleet operations?
Yeah, thank you for the question. We started out about 6 years ago, and over the years, we've obviously enhanced the tech stack to capture more and more data. And as Mile has grown into 35 plus markets and have gained a lot of traction and adoption, the need to optimize this data collection and analytics and forecasting on that data has become more and more prominent. And obviously, AI helps definitely with a lot of the distillation of that data, making sense out of things, that the KPIs, which we, as many of my colleagues here mentioned, the triggering of the events that we want to capture before they become problems. That's definitely what is one part of the AI that we're applying it as a use case. But there are also so many other areas and segments, because Mile is covering FTL, full truckload, as well as LTL, and first, middle, and last mile. So we are having a mixed bag of use cases where route optimization, load balancing, load enhancement, returns management, reverse logistics. There are so many areas that we are using in certain portions, the AI aspect of the solution, with, of course, the mindset that there needs to be some human intervention wherever possible to be able to correct where the AI algorithms are not mature enough yet. And we are still building them. Obviously, the LLMs are not to that enterprise level where you can see the value immediately. So you need to train the models and get them to predict better, across the different use cases. So yeah, AI has a great role to play, and it helps us achieve the efficiency that we want for our customers, and it helps target that data in a smarter way, I would say.
Thank you very much. I think you are pretty much mentioning about explainable AI as well, for the human being somewhere standing, and also LLM is always supporting and always continuously developing, and in between we need to leverage the communication as well with the explainable AI. I think as a newcomer, but also huge experience in domain, Utpal, you may add some more insights about the data analytics and the power of having data with AI.
Yeah, I think, after hearing all the stories from the logistics field, let us come back to the basics of passenger mobility, actually. That's what probably everybody's life is getting affected, all the day and night. We call, for example, Dubai, as one of the smartest city, okay, with the type of infrastructure what the city authority had created, and the roads are 16 lane, 20 lane high, the roads inside the city. But if you see the morning peak and evening peak, the travel speed getting reduced to 5 kilometer or 7, or maybe, something like that. Okay. So I think that's where, the importance of shared mobility is coming. And I am not really from a very technological background of AI, but I'm a practicing transportation planner. Okay. But what I see, so every sector can contribute a lot. And probably, the AI can play a big role actually in understanding, the sectoral requirements. So what sector I mean is, one is, say, school transportation, So Dubai has got thousands of schools. And if you see, the morning requirements, every school is sending one big bus to all the colonies all across Dubai. Okay, so currently, after becoming one of the smartest city in the world, we are still not using the basic services of, the algorithms actually, which can probably reduce the number of kilometers run by all these buses to a level of 25 to 27%. Okay, so it can also reduce the number of, the minutes or hours every student spend on the bus. Okay, so this has got very big repercussions in terms of, the congestion and also the carbon footprint for the city. Okay, so that's what my focus area, and we are trying to build the platform basically for the real-time optimization of the routes for the passenger transportation. That includes the students, the corporates, and also the public transportation, even for first and last mile connectivity to the metro. So we have got 6 different use cases, what we use as a part of our the technology suite, and try to address the requirements of every segments of the society, whether it is a student or a corporate traveler or public transport traveler, or by even own mode of transportation. Okay, so I think that integration of all these machine learning models and AI for day-to-day requirement, it also need to evolve further. That's what my I think the recommendations could be. Okay, and since this particular aspect, the travel time or road safety or all those things really affect everybody's life. I think there is a huge opportunity of AI basically, in the passenger mobility segment, in whether first and last mile or the connecting the airports or any large the sort of passenger generating activities in the city. Okay.
Yep. Maybe I can make a follow-up question regarding because you mentioned shareholders, and not always a pillar or a business domain can sustain itself without the interaction or communication with the other businesses, like insurance. Insurance is one side of the mobility. So how do you see the insurance and the shared mobility will be handshaking with the improving data analytics and risk scoring?
I think that's one of the emerging area these days. So I was doing a case study in India recently. That was basically analyzing the type of road accidents what have been happening all across the country. So unfortunately, after say investing billions of dollars in creating our highway, so we always try to penalize our infrastructure, not the people actually. Okay, so we always call the highway quality is not good, maybe the surface condition is not good, that's why a lot of accidents are happening. But if you analyze the few of these data, it's actually people's behavior. Okay, so which is making all the differences. So the people means the driver. So I may be driving my vehicle or you may be driving your vehicle. So I think insurance can really play a big role. The premium, how the premium has to be fixed. It should not be linked to the vehicle, the model actually. It should be linked to that particular person's driving behavior. Okay, how harsh brakes, what kind of harsh braking he does, and how he makes all these winding kind of things. So these are all detectable offenses nowadays, and if the every person could be assigned with the some sort of a score, okay, which can be linked to the insurance at the end of the day. So probably that will be a big deterrent for many drivers, to really follow the rules and also keep everybody's life, say topmost priority. Okay.
Yep.
So basically, what I tried to emphasize was, the premium should be linked to the behavior of the driver, not to the quality of the vehicle. Okay.
Yep. I think all the panelists could have some opinions about this subject, because this is the core of our business, and also somehow this is the one of the biggest shareholder for the ecosystem. So Yann, is there anything you would like to elaborate more about this topic?
Yeah, I was going to chime in. I think it's very interesting set of panelists with different point of view, but that makes the I think the conversation even richer on that perspective. So I started to kind of explain that we very much devoted to a B2B space, right, with freight forwarding and cargo containers. It turned out that we are currently launching two programs in the B2C space. One, parcel e-commerce in Asia, and one last mile delivery for actually foods and gig workers, which are not only essentially supply chain disruptions and delays, but also physical loss and damage of cargo. So, goods, spoilage, food, beverages, and so forth that can be damaged and also spoiled or losses during the delivery, right, during the transportation. And what turned out to be very relevant about that conversation that we're having right now is the modeling and the operations are fairly imperfect, right? Because we're coming up from a framework which is marine cargo insurance, right? These big words, which quite frankly, essentially are native from the Commonwealth area in 1600, right, with Lloyd's and those very legacy policies. And what is the TNC, terms and condition, and the legalese haven't changed much. So how do you kind of marry your Grab, your Uber Eats, your Seamless Web, DoorDash model with very old, outdated model? Well, right now you don't, except that you have new tools, right? New emerging techs that help you connect the dots. So what we're doing here is try to essentially prove concept in the sense that we can trust, the operations and then the delivery and the behaviors of some of the gig workers. But we're also learning quite a bit in terms of what their behaviors are. And what we're learning, obviously, is, kind of road safety, a little bit of a patterns in terms of, neighborhoods, zip codes, different type of, obviously, like, assets and goods that they're moving left and right. Seasonality is a pattern, but also fraud, right? So unfortunately, you do have fraudulent behavior in any type of sectors. So in this case, because, food damage can be essentially adjudicated in a matter of 48 hours in certain cases, because we want to facilitate claim payment, right? We want to actually take the protection of the gig workers, which is the policy order in this case. Facilitating too much, opens up for, kind of conventional behavior from them, right? So there's a little bit of like AI and machine learning training model that we go over by trying to reverse calibrate some of the behaviors that we observe, and trying to increase the performance of the portfolio in that sense, right? So you want to give ability to those customers to get paid fast, but when you start seeing some accumulation of claim payments, then it's something that's not right? So it's a little bit like a credit card frauds, but applied to almost like real life assets in this case.
Excellent. I think I need to park this question for a while, but I think this is still relevant for Fawad and Russell. I do also wonder on the impact of this insurance companies and their interaction with the AI and your offerings by means of last mile and middle mile, basically what you are taking place. But particularly Russell, connected with the previous question, also, how do you manage customer satisfaction and by means of the passengers, or not in your case, but the drivers and the consumers, with the improving safety, building trust, and also how do you manage the shareholder equities in one pot? Can you please elaborate?
Sure. Thanks a bunch. So the key is that insurance is a big deal in the world of trucking. You have, a truck plows into a back of a minivan, kills a whole family, and you have what's called a nuclear verdict that here in the United States, that could be literally hundreds of millions of dollars, which is a big deal. And everyone shares that cost. It's not like there's free money. So anything that helps reduce that is a really big deal. And I think one of the keys are, especially in my world that's very hyper fragmented, there's something like the American Trucking Association says there's over 1 million trucking companies in the United States. So now some of those, like 300,000 of them are one-person truck or one-truck fleets, but still that's a lot of fleets. Is the AI can share experiences, what are warning signs from fleet to fleet, and where are the trouble areas? Oh my gosh, this is a really bad part. Wake up, be alert. There's a lot of accidents that happen in the next mile, sort of things. I see that even on my Google Maps on my phone. I'm seeing, hey, be alert. There's a lot of accidents in this area. That same sort of technology and alerts that AI can analyze all this information coming in to help us know this is a benefit to everyone in the system. Our particular view or our particular task is we're playing the matchmaker. So a private fleet has an empty load, say from Philly to New York on a Friday, they're usually empty. We help AutoSense, sniffing for loads from brokers to put loads onto those empty private fleet trucks.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Fawad, how do you see improving safety, building trust, and enhancing user experience in your domain will be interacting with AI? And if you have any words to add on for the previous section by means of the last mile operations you do, please go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So, and a lot of these thoughts and use cases that, including insurance, are all extremely important. And what we are finding in the GCC market, at least, where we are predominantly implementing our solution, language, training, anything that helps make the user more aware of what more is possible. So far, just like Russ mentioned, that you're able to get a lot of these fleet management is happening on whiteboards and Excel files and WhatsApp messages and whatnot. So first there is a level of awareness that we need to get the basics, SOPs in place, the foundations in place, and then there is a level of the analytics that we introduce on top of that. AI comes in with that analytics and the thought process of the user getting to a level to where the expectation is not just automation, it's more beyond automation. That what else can I do without having to click a certain function or an action on the dashboard, and the system can notify me predictively, smartly on the things that I should be watching out for. That's where we find a lot of our customers are now helping us drive the use cases to areas with AI for automated chatbots, automated tracking, any kind of delays that are about to happen, or a load sharing where a particular zone or a geofence may be getting hit heavily by some volume, and we need to adjust the driver's capacity, the vehicle's capacity, the number of drivers, and the behavior of the driver. So we take into account things like driver's ratings, his driving behavior, and things of that nature, historical data to help predict what may happen in a particular situation. And that's where AI is of the most importance with the current data set that we have available, at least within Mile. And of course, we keep exploring newer options to expand that. And I'm sure a lot of the panelists and maybe even the audience is experimenting with lots of other areas that we haven't yet thought of.
Thank you very much. Because I believe we are mostly on the logistics and transportation domain as a whole, or we are always mind shifting to that domain in particular cases. But of course, Still, we are living in big cities, and also we are experiencing big metropolitan areas. So in each and every experience, we are looking for fancy shared mobility solutions, and we do experience newcomers frequently. So this question is coming to each and every panelist for not the professionals that you are already doing in business side, but as a citizen living in big cities, can you please say, how do you envision future advancements in AI enhancing the quality of services for passengers, us, being transported from point A to point B, especially in the area of autonomous driving and smart mobility? So what's next? What is waiting for us? Well, how do you imagine the future of mobility in big cities? Russell, would you like to start?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot of differences between when you're transporting a person and you're transporting, some building supplies. The building supplies are very patient. The people are not. The AI helps the organization to respond in real time to situations, a traffic situation, a weather situation. A driver is out. How do I recover? How do I reschedule my routes I have today? I'm a bus company. I have 100 school buses and 2 drivers called in sick. How do I respond to that situation? And the AI can help an organization to respond to that more effectively, more efficiently, to generate a higher level of service and be more efficient.
Thank you. Fawad?
Absolutely. So yes, passenger transportation requires a lot of, agility. So your ability to be more flexible on the transportation and sharing of those vehicles is of the utmost importance. And you do see the smarter cities are tilting towards EVs, tilting towards innovative solutions, flying taxis and whatnot, a lot of the things which are coming up in Dubai and the areas thereof. So there is a lot of room for improvement in the traditional fleets which are used for passenger transport, the rental industry, for example, transportation, school buses, as Utpal has mentioned, rightly so. So what can be done to improve these is to study the data, is to look at the behaviors, and is to predict and project with the help of AI what we can improve without having to increase the fleet sizes, without having to just throw more assets towards the problem. So that's, I think, a key area where there is a lot of room for improvement, and there are lots of startups working on fixing these with different approaches.
Thank you very much, Fawad. And Yann, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that can be said. And I'm not going to pretend being an expert in EV, even though I'm following the market, pretty intrigued, and I'm very glad that we are making a ton of progress. Not my expertise overall. So what I was going to say, maybe my angle to it is, at some point we were studying the passenger travel as one of the application of our technology, and I know that's a solution that's obviously being democratized globally by a number of platforms, and if anything, it's getting more and more mature. So the one thing that's we starting to look at is more explorative at that point, but it's kind of the intersect of the passenger travel industry and the cargo space, and that's luggage protection, right? Within cargo handling at the airport, and a lot of luggage losses, damages, and whatnot, and which for that matter hasn't been well managed or well developed. And since we have expertise, we have a ton of data, and we have also connectivity with a bunch of APIs for terminal monitoring and tracking of a bunch of those containers and cargo luggage is just like an incremental work that we actually studying right now. And it turned out that for transportation of human beings, right, which are obviously much fuzzier than just a container or a piece of furniture. The luggage and the what they're bringing to their vacations or their business trip is pretty critical, right? So it sounds pretty anodyne, but it is not. So that can actually improve the experience quite a bit. And it's not only insurance, right? It's about tracking, giving transparency, and giving visibility about where your luggage can be. Maybe it was lost at the layover, but then the insurance that goes with it is where we kind of like come in. That can be like a compensation for a hotel room or any type of reimbursement of a flight ticket or whatnot. But really bringing the best of prediction visibility that we are already working on in order to make the experience even better.
Thank you. Last but not least, Utpal.
Yeah, I think it's a very important topic, as far as the whole life is concerned, actually. Okay, so I have been working in this space, customer happiness, so that's what we talk all the days, and that's what some cities score very high ranking, or some cities really low ranking. Okay, so I think one of the biggest advantage of today's world is, so we have got enormous amount of data, which is being generated on a day-to-day basis, even from the cell phone. Okay, so I think so that piece of data is not really utilized. Maybe there could be some startup who can come out with very dynamic kind of model, because the cell phone, the data can give the real-time origin destinations, basically to plan for the capacity. Okay, so Fawad had really highlighted, so we should not go for more and more number of fleets. Rather, we should go for lesser number of fleets. Maybe more sharing or aggregation rates should be much more than what the normal services offer. Okay, so that's where I feel this the real-time on-demand passenger shared mobility, which could be bus. I always prefer a bus, because that is something which can reduce maybe 20 cars. One bus can reduce 20 cars on the road, and at the same time it can give the same level of comfort, convenience, and accessibility. Okay, if it is planned well, which can probably achieve the 100% of customer satisfaction, as far as the economics of his travel is concerned, because shared mobility is always cheaper than any other form of transportation. Okay, so I think yeah, so using the data, how we can come out with some real time of modeling, a weekday model, a weekend model, or because the patterns are different actually for every day. But our public transportation system in the most of the cities are not really the focusing on that particular aspect. So during weekend it is always oversupplied. During the peak of the week it is always undersupplied. So ultimately, public transportation has become unreliable. Okay, so maybe some bit of the AI integration into picking up the the destinations from the cell phone data, which can be really helpful actually for every cities across the globe.
Thank you very much. I think to wrap up, what I could say about the next, what I do see as a person, it is always difficult to adapt new solutions, and always there exists a popping up new way of transportation elsewhere. And adoption and the retention is the main question on the customers, from the customer perspective, as me. And I would say personally, the tricky thing is to sustain the retention for each and every customer will be winning case for the shared mobility, I would say. And I think we need to be working together just because we can solve unique small problems, but in it altogether, it is a big problem for the better and sustainable world. And I think the panel and the expert discussion session is getting over. Pankaj?
Hey, thank you, Gönenç. I think really fantastic insights that we got today, and I think you have done a fantastic job, Gönenç, as a moderator. We didn't talk about only technology and innovation, but we also talked about the sustainability aspect, the shared, the sharing the environment with other human beings, and making sure that we have the sustainable planet for our future generation. And also we did talk about the risk management, right? How do we take care of the risk from the insurance perspective or from the human lives perspective, and so on and so forth. And I think definitely AI, augmented reality kind of technologies can play a huge role in making that happen. And now I think we are going to move to a new segment. And I see that Gönenç is already sweating probably, which we call roast session. And why we do host roast session, this is a very stupid idea, crazy idea, that we are going to roast a startup founder publicly on a live stream. And the reason is, most of the times founders do not get a brutal, honest feedback from customers, partners, investors. They get a very sugar-coated BS, which doesn't really help them anyway, right? And we truly believe that if founders are not getting a brutal, honest feedback from the subject matter experts, then they are not being helped, right? And that's why we love hosting these roast sessions where founders do present their product. In 5 to 10 minutes, they do a quick presentation and product demo, and then they get questions, feedback, and insights from the experts, right? And since you are also in your entrepreneurial journey, I'm sure you would be very objective with your feedback and questions. So Gönenç, may I request you to share your screen and walk us through the SmartIR presentation, and then we can take questions as we move forward. Please go ahead. You're on mute.
I think you now hear me. Before starting, brutal questions are expected at the end of and for the Q&A sessions, but the brutal ones. So throughout the panel, we would like to emphasize the shareholder value. So today I will be mentioning how we unlock shareholder value with SmartIR. Basically, we need to ask, where is the shareholder value? Because when we do look at the landscape of the problem, we do see a complex, simple, and also by means of impact, we do see lots of solutions. Some of them are driven by regulations, some of them are customer driven. So by means of the making those aspects as the middle of the problem and the statement, how we can sustain the other shareholders' value? This is the question. And when we do have a big transformation in the mobility ecosystem, and this is a need for innovation, and SmartIR is positioning itself to fulfill or fill the gaps in between the solutions. So we do provide AI-driven analytics and real-time detection system with emphasizing customer satisfaction, and come up with 6 different use cases and even more to unlock the power of AI. And for that one, we have 4 columns to provide the solution, basically technology-wise. We do vital signs monitoring, gaze monitoring, biometric identification, and object detection. And with vital signs, we do mostly we look for the hindered causes of something, and mostly this something is related with the human being. This is the human physiology. just because if we do talk about safety, security, insurance, whatsoever, it is strongly related with human. And if we do talk about human, we cannot resolve the problem without understanding the human. So in order to understand, we do go the heartbeats, basically, really heartbeats. We do measure heartbeats of the driver and the passenger. And then we do look for where the driver or where the passenger is looking for. And in order to understand and customize the solutions for each and every partner in we do biometric identification. Also for the basics, we do monitor whether the driver is smoking, using mobile phone or seatbelt, or more complex areas, we can tailor solutions like cat dog detection with blind spot detection. So, and where we are going, combining all those, we also mentioned during the panel generative AI. So this is fancy word and the new vibe of AI word, but what we are trying to do, we are willing to be the co-pilot sitting next to you. So we will be advising driver or any shareholder what has to be done, and also with, not against, with the driver or the liability owner, I would say. And with having those incorporated, we are willing to touch the 4 different use cases. For example, it is possible with SmartIR to deploy a keyless access or in-cabin wellness, or even smart city solutions with municipalities and other mobility solution providers. And this is the product in action. So as I mentioned, if we do combine the fields of gaze monitoring and vital sign monitoring with object detection and biometric identification, we can tailor or we can address the actual risk of driver and also the long-term risk of driver. For instance, for the logistics, the drivers, each and every separate driving, and also for person. And this is the product in action. We're not only limited with that, we are also addressing the problem and the solution for the liability owner. As I said, for the fleet managers on a dashboard, on a live dashboard, we do present long-term statistics as well as the live streamed video and the actual alarms for the driver and also for the liability owner, like fleet manager or the operational manager. So it is possible for a fleet manager to visualize what is going on in his or her fleet. And if in a long term, it is an asset for a fleet, so you can monitor how your drivers are acting while they are in action of driving. So this video is taken from a partner of us, but one of the customer of us. We basically visualize the basic product of DriveSafe, where SmartIR is providing this product to logistics and transportation companies. And this product is up and running in several partners. And we do differentiate ourselves by our product offering and also the key technological advances that we have developed so far. Well, of course, we have a talented team and we are aiming to expand more on shared mobility domain, as well as the logistics and transportation market. We are also prioritizing the possible use cases on shared mobility domain. And the fancy generative AI driving assistant will be up and running on 2025. We say, join us to see what beyond the visible. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Gönenç. That was a quick presentation. And now we can start taking questions from the panel. Yeah, please go ahead, Russell.
So first, that was great to see your passion for the mission and you know what you're doing. You can feel that, which is really neat. And the overall mission, making drivers safe, is a great mission. So that's really neat. And I think any potential investor or potential customer would like that. What I think you could do to make your story more compelling is to first, who is the customer? Is this a 200 truck fleet? Or is this a 10-man fleet, a 10-truck fleet? Is it a fleet that carries diamonds, or is it a fleet that carries lumber? Who is the customer that you're really targeting? Because it's a big world, and you're obviously an emerging company. Then, you know, a lot of people are very focused on ROI. If I invest in your project and not in another project, what should I get? What am I expecting? What's a reasonable thing? What have other people gotten in the past? So you could talk about what's the business ROI. I'm envisioning that there'd probably be some sort of insurance benefit. Does that reduce your insurance 2% or 20% or 60%? Oh my gosh, that'd be really big to tell. And then lastly, when you talked about competition, I think to make it really effective for the audience, there should be a chart showing the cost point of each of the competitive alternatives, and then the feature matchup. How do you compare features compared to these others? It sounds like you have a greater set of features. Maybe you're the premium, the BMW of your space. Well, great. Well, then how much more is it? Is yours 10% more expensive or 300% more expensive? All those things would help any audience to deeply understand where you are and where you're going and get behind your passion.
Thank you very much, Russell. I need a bit more about your third question. You are looking for the tier 1, tier 2 like solutions we do develop for different partners or different players in the market. Or is this your question? How do you tier up the product for different customer segments? Is this your question? The third one?
For me, so just as an audience, first time learning of this opportunity, this company, I think it's exciting. There are competitors, and I didn't get a sense for who you're targeting. And I think you have to be specific as who is your customer. I think a very classic thing. I do this for Harvard Business School startup partners in the Bay Area. And a classic question is, you know, to answer who is doing what, where, and why. If you can answer those questions, you really know a lot more about your customer.
Yeah.
Do you want to respond to that question, please?
Pardon?
Please go ahead, respond to that question on the customer profile ICP.
Yeah, for the customer profile, it's an excellent question, by the way. It is also correlated with the go-to-market strategy, I believe. And for the domestic market and also the European market, we can go individual drivers even for the fleet sizes of like 1, 2, but the personal ownership can be supported by our company. But of course, jumping to like the US market and so on requires more the bigger assets to sustain the business in the continent. So yes, we can go down to private ownership level, I could say. So, but the target audience for the initial target is the fleet size, operational fleet size over 100, I would say, tracks. But currently we are operating in Turkey, and we have fleets in size of 7, 8 trucks as well. It doesn't mean we do not work with the smaller fleets, but the target audience is large fleets, medium to large fleets, or fleets in operation size, not ownership. And for the return of investment, there was another question regarding the ROI. We do have a basic a testimonial from one of our customers saying, well, we have a better operational efficiency after installing your software solution. Likewise, we do come up with a 30% of operational efficiency by the near accident instances decrease, and also the mileage they do cover without risk. So it is also it requires a bit more research, but there are also already public researches for insurance case. For conservative, say, estimations, it could be 10 to 15% of discount could be doable for insurance companies to share with fleet managers who has such kind of a telematic solution, I would say, fleet management as a fleet management solution. But in return, this is the side of the fleet, but for the whole ecosystem, this AI innovation can bring 30% of cost reduction, and for each and every partner, not only the fleet manager but also insurance companies get earned from this innovation, I would say.
I think you're talking on a lot of different points, which is exciting. What I would do is I would have a slide that has, here is what the 100 truck fleet looks like before our solution.
Mhm.
Here is what you should expect the 100 truck operation would look like after your solution. So you can articulate the savings in insurance, the savings in routing, other savings. And, you know, obviously you're not saving on gasoline or diesel, but there are other savings that you are saving on, perhaps maintenance, things like that. But you need to articulate that and make that clear. I think a simple table, at least from my perspective, would make that a lot clearer and get people even more excited about your company.
Thank you, Russell. Appreciate that.
Excellent.
Good feedback. Okay, who wants to go next?
I'll go.
Yeah, please.
If you're okay with it. I found the presentation, you know, very well constructed, and it's a little hard to go after Russell. I think Russell, you actually hit, you know, a lot of good points. So I'm probably gonna get to a different angle. So I do a lot of pitch decks myself, right? So, and it's been 5 years in the making. So if anything, I actually created a lot of skills in you know, creating pitch decks. Anyway, so that's my angle to you. I think the design is actually pretty good. I really liked, you know, some of the quirks and, you know, call schemes which are engaging. So that's keeps the audience alive, and that's very important when your pitch is like, you know, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes. After 90 seconds, quite frankly, you know, people actually can be disconnected. So that's a good, you know, good job on that one. I think this generally, like, there's too many slides, right? And it's not so much that I'm kind of nitty-gritty about the exact format or the number of slides, but you kind of like reflect on the fact that maybe you can synthesize a little more, right? When, you know, you are seed, pre-seed, you know, this kind of stage, I don't know where you guys at exactly, but 8 slides might actually be sufficient, right? If anything, or, you know, 10 slides, right? Maybe with the appendix or whatnot. And that's like an exercise where you actually learn how to like getting rid of, you know, certain things that's superfluous, that are not needed, or maybe you can combine some ideas together. And so that would be one of the feedbacks. Generally, like, you know, along the same line, you know, it may be like also like a follow-up from what Russell was saying. I was kind of like a little lost into the technology angle product, and I was not enough drawn into the kind of the synthetic value for the end customer that can be simplified in one tagline and maybe one slides that explained, you know, big numbers in terms of dollar value or productivity or whatnot, which people are going to remember. And maybe that was lost in kind of like an ocean of information that you were bringing, right? So I think it's also like, you know, for you to try to explain it to, like, you know, 40-year-old and also to a 6-year-old, right? And then, so what is it that you bring into the market? You should be able to explain it in one sentence, two sentence with one numbers, one visual that would be like very clear for a general audience, right? And that would be like one of the things that would be a central point, right, of your pitch deck. In my kind of like line of work, port blockage, right, terminal blockage and ocean delay is just an image of the port of Singapore, port of LA, port of New York, New Jersey, recently with the port strikes, with a big number and a big headline, right? And that's all what people need, right? And then you get into the nitty-gritty, like the ROI, the J curve, and the customer acquisition, the CAC over LTV, whatever you want. But the central point needs to exist somewhere. And I don't think I saw it. Maybe I'm too far away from your industry or your sector, so maybe I was a little lost. But I should be one of the general audience you should be able to actually, kind of capture at some point. Yeah, and then I think, in that sense, maybe the last point I want to bring up, while maybe you would benefit from like kind of the simplifying, I think there's also like an ask, right? Maybe at the end, or something that could become a little clearer. Maybe I missed it, but it didn't seem to be very clear to me. So maybe just like, maybe your general feedback on that one.
Thank you, Yann. Just want to highlight one more thing. So I do understand that there are a lot of interesting feedback on the way the presentation is designed and the way the presentation has been made and so on and so forth. But if there are questions on the product itself or technology or on go-to-market strategies, then I think that would be really, really fantastic. So yeah, please feel free to bring those questions in. I see Fawad has unmuted himself. Fawad, yeah, please.
Yeah, so great presentation. I really like the concept and the way that you've set forth the objectives. A little bit more on what Pankaj was just mentioning. I couldn't really figure out what was the interdependency between the hardware and the software component. So do you provide as SmartIR all the hardware related to actually have the software work, or are you connected with many hardware providers and you are a layer on top of what that is? And that basically ties into the partnerships. So do you require hardware partnerships? Do you need more of sensors integration, dash cams, things of that nature, or you manufacture everything? And if you're manufacturing, then what's your go-to-market strategy for that beyond Turkey, for example?
It's an excellent question. Thank you for that one. We are not manufacturing any hardware. We are not aimed to do at all. We will be focusing on the software solution, and what we do collaborate with different partners in different geographies for establishing the hardware work, and we do not have a strong, say, hardware dependency, both on computation and on camera side. Basically, a regular HD cam will be okay to be deployed. And what is a good news for SmartIR, it is getting more and more common for smart cars already deployed with such a camera, even a better quality. And also in automotive domain, manufacturers are introducing Qualcomm, Broadcom, and NVIDIA systems deployed within the smart cars. And we have tested our systems on all the possibilities on hardware domain, on computation side. So CPU only, GPU only solutions we can deploy, even mobile. And so this is also brings us a competitive edge to SmartIR solution. We have enough flexibility to play around on after sales market with collaborating hardware manufacturers and transform already existing vehicles into smart vehicle with less or no hardware dependency, and having capability to deploy smart cars without a need of, say, hardware.
Okay, so follow up to that, if you don't mind. If in that regards, when you have the requirement of being integrated with some form of hardware, obviously, would your partnerships be more, or your customer base be faster to acquire by that type of a partnership instead of going after the direct fleet operators or fleet owners? Because in my mind, when we are looking at, with this type of a solution that needs to be a layer on top of the hardware, you need to have, different partners in different parts of the world who are good at manufacturing at scale and be able to tie into their telematics devices and utilize that partnership to gain your user base and scale at it. So that's the first part of my question. Secondly, one of the key things that I wanted to understand a little bit more, maybe the audience as well, would be what's your roadmap? You mentioned there's a personal assistant component that you want to get into as a roadmap. What would that translate into? Is that roadmap going to 10x your revenue? That roadmap functionality? Is that a feature because it's the customer feedback is driving that, or is that something that you're just working on because that's the next cool thing to work on? So what's the intelligence behind, what's the working behind that concept?
The concept for the generative AI, you mean, is that correct?
The personal assistant that you mentioned as will be the assistant in the dash.
Okay. I will take the first question first. Your question is more or less about the maintenance issue and also warranty issues in different geographies. So what we are trying to achieve, in each and every I don't mind to make this into a pitch deck rather than I was trying to make it more technology-wise a discussion to just elaborate more about the AI and the shared mobility and what SmartIR can do. But we had some spare, maybe I can go forward to just reveal it. Yes, this one. For different geographies, we are looking for different partnerships. So what we are trying to achieve, we will be jumping into different geographies and different markets with geographical facts and geographical supply chain, basically. Even though we say we have less or no dependence on hardware side, there exists always a phase that needs and always a phase for a customer to just discuss about the problem. So this is how we will be achieving. We are looking for partnerships in these domains. We are active of course, in Turkey. We are trying to establish a network in Europe. So we can manage it as SmartIR only, but for the APAC region, MENA region, US market, we are looking for partnerships. And for this second question, it is more or less we are with generative AI or the copilot sitting to leverage the OEMs. We are trying to get on board. Like we are always looking for a win-win case, and for that generative AI tool, what we are trying to achieve, we are willing to be a tool already exists when you buy your car, and for that one, we are leveraging this generative AI tool to app stores for smart vehicles. Maybe Proje Aptoid, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto is just pushing this technology forward for automotive industry. So we are willing to introduce our novel technologies within an application. so that in case these operating systems allow, they will be just one click away. So we are trying to upscale, or we are trying to unlock the potential of brands, not only the potential or go to market or marketing strategy related with SmartIR. We are trying to leverage the customer base of Mercedes, for example.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fawad. Utpal, any questions from your side?
Not specific question. I think I really enjoyed, the overall presentation. Okay. One basic question I thought, I should ask you. Basically, the driver's fatigue level, is it also one of the components you measure? The driver's fatigue level.
Yes, by basic distinctive property that we deliver is putting drivers ahead of time. For example, the unique core value we develop is we can predict one driver will be drowsy in 2 hours, so that it will be there will be enough time for fleet managers to take an action with regard, rather than waiting for him or her to get drowsy and fatigue and crash away.
Yeah, that's it. I think it was really fantastic,
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Utpal. Any other question, any other insights or feedback? Probably you may have some insights on the go-to-market partnerships or SI partnerships. Yeah, Russell, please go ahead.
I was just going to comment that if the audience is investors, they're not investing in a product, they're investing in a company. Right. So I think many entrepreneurs, especially those with an engineering bent, want to talk about their product and why their product is amazing and how they've done this incredible job. Investor doesn't really care. The investor is investing in a company. So the product's part of the company story, but there's team, there's market, there's go-to-market. There's a bunch of other things that go into a great company versus an individual product. Lastly, sometimes technical-based founders make the mistake that when someone asks you the time, they don't want to know how your watch works. They just want to know the time. So you have to get quickly to answer that first question, because there's hopefully other questions that you want to get to, because time is always limited.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Russell. I completely agree with you on that. Nobody cares about the technology. They care about the end result, the value proposition, the value that you're creating for the shareholders, for the users, and so on and so forth. So completely agree with that. Any other feedback, insights? Okay, I think this has been fantastic. Again, really appreciate Russell, Fawad, Utpal, and Yann for joining the call, for having this fantastic, insightful conversation on impact of AI on the shared mobility. Gönenç, you have been a fantastic moderator, and I think you took all the questions and feedback very positively. So that's very, very courageous and very, very positive attitude. So thanks a lot, everybody, and hopefully we will reconnect again and try to figure out how we can collaborate, how we can support each other, and take it from there, right? Thanks, everybody, and talk soon. Take care. Bye.